En
In
el video de
today's
hoy vamos a
video,
estar
we'll be
viendo la
exploring
herramienta
Google
de
AI
Google
Studio
AI
Build, a
Studio
super
Build,
powerful
una
tool
herramienta
available
súper
within
potente que
Google
podemos
Studio.
encontrar.
You know, that section where we can test, chat with models, compare Gemini models, build applications, or even try the Nano Banana Pro model for free. So today we're heading to the build section, and this is where the magic begins. Today we'll be covering what this tool is, what types of models we can program in Google Studio, the interface, understanding how it works, and the real-world use cases we might encounter. We'll look at the tool's advantages and limitations, and finally examine its real potential and possible use cases we can implement right away. So to give you a glimpse of the potential, I use this tool to create a landing page, which is the page through which I sell my artificial intelligence course. As you can see, we have different options, like changing the language, and it has tons of interactive and fully customized features, something that would be much more complicated and time-consuming to do with WordPress. Also, I want you to understand that this tool only works with the front end. What does that mean? Well, in web programming, there are two types of programming, front end and back end. The back end would be all the code you don't want anyone to see, like the IP addresses. You don't want anyone to know your email password, right? Much less access to your Stripe account, which is an online payment processor. You don't want anyone knowing your ChatGPT or Nano Banana Pro API keys. Why? Because if someone knew it, they could generate images without using your tool until you run out of money or credits on the platform itself. And then there's the front end. The front end is that visual part that we see and that users can view without any issues. So that's something very important we need to keep in mind, okay? We won't be giving Google AI Studio any passwords or API keys since all that information would be visible to users. So anyway, to summarize what this tool is, it's a live coding tool that lets us program front-end web applications or games using natural language. So let's look at what models it offers, okay? If we go to the model section here before I describe our idea, if we select a model here, a code assistant, you'll see we have different models available, okay? By default, we'll have the Gemini _3_ flash preview, the Gemini _3_ pro preview, the Gemini _2.5_ pro, and the Gemini _2.5_ flash. Obviously, the Gemini _3_ pro and Gemini _3_ flash are better than the Gemini _2.5_ pro and 2.5_ flash versions. As a recommendation, if you're looking for speed, which isn't really the smartest priority for these types of projects, you can go with Gemini _3_ flash preview. But if you want quality, even though it takes longer and ensures things are done properly when possible, I should mention it still has many errors and will fail sometimes. Use the Pro Preview. That's what I've always worked with. It's true that you can request a small change and it might take about 2 minutes, but at least you ensure that if something breaks, it won't crash your entire website like with Flash Preview, right? Then we also have system instructions. Here we can give the AI context about what we want and don't want it to do, okay? Here they give us several examples, right? Avoid using gradients, don't change the model found in the code, use emojis instead of icons, okay? Well, all of these would be instructions. To be honest, I haven't used this section, haven't found it necessary, but if you're more advanced programmers who need to prohibit certain programming techniques, this is where you do it. Then we have the option to select what type of code we want to program with, React or Angular. We'll leave it on React. And here we can select the microphone to talk to with this speech to text tool. Okay, now what we're going to do is describe an idea. I already have a prompt prepared here. If you want to learn how to create prompts and communicate with AI, there's a completely free ebook in the description below, so check it out. I also teach you how to generate images and many other AI related things, so don't miss it. So here I first explain in an introductory way what I want. I want you to create a landing page for Nano Banana that explains a bit how it works and how to generate images with it. And then I basically tell you your role, okay? I give you some context about who you are and how you should act. I give you the general vibe of what the page is like. And then I move on to more specific things, not so general like the structure, right? I ask you to first create a hero section with an explanatory line that explains how Nano Banana works. Then the possibility prompting with Nano Banana, examples of results from other users or the tool itself, the benefits, Q&A section, and a CTA. Obviously, this is very general, and each section could be defined in much more detail, which would allow us to customize the output much more, right? So let's go ahead and click Build. We could also add files if we had any references or images we wanted to include without any problem. We'll click Build with Gemini 3 Pro Preview selected and wait for it to process. As you can see, it says running and shows the seconds, so let's see how long it takes. As a small side note, we have this code section where, well, it just finished now, but in the code section we can see how it's been building the entire section, okay? From here we could even modify it ourselves if we knew what we were doing. Great, so here we have the website, right? If we start clicking on the how it works buttons and such, we can see they don't actually work, okay? They're purely decorative. No, wait. Pressing the FAQ button does send me directly down to the frequently asked questions section, which is where it should be, right? It generated a logo, made it up a bit, and it seems functional. We can generate images, okay? We have this option here, a futuristic city floating in clouds during golden hour. If I click generate, I'm guessing this won't work. Indeed, it doesn't work. It just displays a random image and that's it. And the get button doesn't work either. But we can see that the front end part has been created. Obviously, for this to work, you'd need an API and so on. And obviously, he hasn't included it because he doesn't have it, right? He shows us some examples made with Nano Banana. Here we would need to be a bit more careful because, allow me to doubt that. So here we would need to manually change the images and add the prompts that were used. But we can see that much of the work is already done in terms of how long it took. Let's take a look. It says here it took 2 minutes, 119 seconds. In 2 minutes you get this. I mean, come on, it's just... And below we have social media links that don't work because we haven't provided the URLs. If I now said, hey, when clicking the GitHub button at the bottom right, redirect to this link, it would do it, right? And the same for all clickable elements. I mean, he's simply given me clickable elements so I can tell him how it works and so on. As an example, I had generated another version earlier, okay? So you can see the slight differences between one and the other, okay? Here it's true that he's included the how it works section. Here he's clearly ignored that requirement. Both use the same prompt. Here I get the same generation output, okay? From text to art. Look, why creators use Nano Banana? Okay. Made with Nano Banana and FAQs. As you can see, it's the same structure. It's used literally almost the same thing, okay? So you can see that yes, it builds quickly, but it's like it's building from a template, okay? If we really want something personalized and different from what others will have, we need to specify that it does something different and define what we want it to do, okay? That is, we won't need to give it so much freedom because as you can see, these two pages are practically identical. Obviously, I define the color scheme and aesthetics myself, but let's admit it's not the most original page you've ever seen. Still, it's something we can work with. Sometimes you don't need anything more complex. We already have a prototype, which is the important part and what this tool allows us to create. Then, I personally did some experimenting, okay, to make, for example, a snake game. Here, first, I gave it a specific role, okay, again, with the role, you're a programmer, here are the game requirements, there's a snake, and so on. And then I started to iterate a bit, alright? I said add music and also add a button that lets me turn off the music. We're already starting to iterate. It took, as you can see, 111 seconds, so it takes quite a while to do nothing but add music and disable it. Then I asked that when red apples are eaten, another appears, and with golden apples, there's a 10% chance one will appear, and eating that golden apple spawns 2 red ones. After iterating for a while, this was the result. So let's go there. We're going to go full screen. Let's make it easy and start the game, okay? Well, we've started with a yellow one. As you can see, the yellow one gives me these red ones, and the red ones regenerate, okay? The point of adding the yellow apple was basically to have more and more apples on screen, right? There was nothing more to it, just to speed up the game a bit and make it a little more enjoyable. We can see that it works. So I'm going to test the music. There's a pause button, and the pause button works. Okay, the music plays, and when we eat an apple, a small sound effect plays too, which obviously when we have it locally or program it ourselves, we'll use exactly the file we want. Or we could try sending a WAV file to see if it accepts it, which I'm not so sure about because it doesn't. I've tried it, but well, as you can see, it's functional and all that. I'm not going to check what happens when I complete the game because I'd be here for 20 minutes. But anyway, as you can see, we're going to get eliminated. A game over. The button for restart works. It pauses with the spacebar, and that's it. we could ask for the board, I mean, for the game to be bigger, right? To take up more space and so on, but it's pretty good. Obviously, we asked for something very basic, so I thought of asking for something more advanced, basically to make me a chess game. Good. I sent the instructions. Hey, act as a programmer once more. I'll send you the standard chess rules, the modes, okay? That basically there should be two players with options to play locally or against the computer. I defined a bit of the aesthetic I wanted for the board. He also included different themes here that don't work, okay? No matter how much I change it, it doesn't... The themes aren't working for me, and I found a problem. The chess game logic wasn't being deciphered properly, okay? So here I said, hey, make the pieces move. Let me move the pieces so the game can be played. The piece movement isn't working. Here we're already at 258 seconds. That's almost 4 minutes plus another 2 minutes. We've been iterating and waiting for responses for 6 minutes and it still doesn't work. And here I got tired and said, look, I'll send you the rules for chess and come on. I sent a whole paragraph of rules. Obviously, this could be done much better. I just wanted to test if the natural language they sell us can actually get things done or not, okay? To see its limitations a bit. So let's test if it works. I'll reload the page, go full screen and see if it lets me move the pieces. And as we can see, there's some reason why it still won't let me, right? It's true it won't let me, but in the options section, there's still the configuration to play against the computer to choose different moves, although no matter how much we rotate the board, it doesn't work. Plus, movements are being registered that aren't actually happening on the board. But, well, we already have most of the interface done, though unfortunately the piece movement doesn't work. Then I wanted to try something a bit cooler, add some creativity by making a 2D platform game. So it moves with WASD, okay? And it generated this for me. The truth is that it might seem silly, but try doing this on your own and you'll see how long it takes you. As you can see, it even gave me different levels. The sound breaks there, as we're seeing, and well, the aesthetics of the game we won't even mention, okay? And there are obviously clear errors. For example, I can't finish playing here, right? But anyway, it's already made me, I mean, it's already done some pretty professional things like knowing where the player is looking, okay? If I go left or right, the creature at least moves a little bit, right? I have lives, the lives work, coins work too. When I collect a coin and a new level is created, the coin disappears. Well, basic things that this is just with one prompt. I didn't iterate or anything. I did it all at once. And now we'll see something more functional, okay? Which was basically, I had the idea of making a library, a prompt library, okay? I think everyone needs one. In fact, I'll probably bring a prompt library to the channel. And what is a prompt library for? Well, it's useful because when you've been interacting with AI for a long time, your prompts start getting disorganized, right? Like having image generation prompts here, programming prompts there. And what happens? Designing a good prompt takes a lot of time. It could easily take you half an hour to create exactly what you're looking for. Obviously, losing that prompt means losing half an hour of your work. Therefore, having a prompt library to store all that effort is a really good idea. Of course, you can use spreadsheets, Notepad, or many other systems, but why not have a specific system designed for this purpose? So that's what I did. This system allows me, for example, to create folders, okay? For example, ChatGPT, let's put this. It allows me to create notes, okay? For example, title, well, prompting, huh? I'm making it up. It allows me to add collections. It's true that from here I can't create a collection, okay? Something that would be nice if I wanted to put it in a new collection that doesn't exist, okay? But anyway, it lets me create it in one that already exists, okay? The one we just created, which is GPT. It asks for the model type, well, GPT-5, okay? And here's the prompt, okay? Well, I'm going to paste the prompt that we pasted before. The description, well, what does it do? Interacting with ChatGPT, this is terrible, huh? But it's just to see how it works. And then the tags ChatGPT, I separate with a comma, and we'll type prompting. No, let's write another word. Other words not in the collection. Let's write hello, mama and pizza, okay? We hit save prompt. And now if we go to all prompts, we'll see all our prompts here, okay? If you notice, we also have the option to save them as favorites. And then go to the favorites section to view it. And also check out the prompt search section, okay? For the prompt search, let's look for something like a description. Interact doesn't work. Let's see if we can search by name. Indeed, we can search by name and by tags. Let's type pizza and see what we can use. If I click use now, it gives me the option to copy results. This could be improved, so clicking use copies it directly. You shouldn't need this extra section, right? It would also be cool if when clicking here it opens up, which is nice, but there should be a direct copy button too. Many things could be improved. The settings section lets me export and import. I'm not sure how well this would work. We have dark mode and light mode. The light mode doesn't work, okay? We're seeing lots of problems here. We even have an A to Z filter option. Well, I mean, there are quite a few things here and it's pretty well done for just being a prompt. Important things. If I reload the application now, I still have the prompt. And if I reload the page, I still have the prompt. Well, I didn't expect that. So we've now seen several real use cases for this tool. We've also seen how to do some basic prompting to get the most out of it. First, we give it a role, then the general objective, and then more specific details. As I mentioned, if you want more access to that, check the description below. Let's talk about the advantages and limitations. Unlike other code assistance tools, this one is completely free, right? That's a huge advantage because we can iterate with it as much as we want. It's true that one limitation is if we iterate too much in a chat, we'll need to reload the chat, restart the conversation, okay? Then if we want, we can go to settings. Oh, sorry, we can go to previous prompts and return to that conversation without any problem. And actually, if we have a project where we've iterated multiple times, like this big one here, right? And for example, if I didn't like the last change or didn't quite understand what it did, well, I just go back up, okay? And I look for the last modification I requested and we can go back, right? In this case, it's not showing up, okay? But I understand that's probably because I sent prompts on different days or whatever. But the option to go back to the previous prompt exists. Got it? We can restart the conversation, which is a positive point. Well, obviously, these are very basic things. I think a very positive aspect is that it's within the Google ecosystem. We can even deploy the app and upload it to Google Cloud without any issues. It's a great tool designed for prototyping, front-end prototypes specifically. I think a negative aspect is exactly that. It only has front-end and no back-end. It lets you create the aesthetics, but not really, it doesn't end up being truly useful. I understand why it lacks back-end though. It would create a huge mess they probably want to avoid right now. Plus, it would make the tool much more complex, and that's my verdict. One of its limitations is the same limitations that bias coding has. Many errors, many incomplete features. You'll really spend quite a bit of time iterating. If you want, for example, this page we've created here, which I mentioned earlier, you could make in 2 minutes, you might have it done, but it doesn't work, right? So to actually make it work properly, you're going to spend several hours, okay, to make it function exactly how you want it to. Of course, if you don't care how it works, it'll take just 20 minutes, right? But even then, you'll still need to give instructions like, hey, make the generate images button, redirect to this page, this one, that other page with a different slug, and so on. And you'll be iterating for quite a while. For example, the other website I showed you, which is a bit more personalized, this one here has many details like full screen video viewing, multiple language options, and even right-aligned text for Arabic. The option to change the cursor, plus there are other arrows behind here that we can magnetize with my cursor, make particles appear. This drop-down menu, okay? All these features will take time to configure on these cards. And obviously, if you want to think about what information to include here, you'll need to write all that content and know exactly what you need, like these modules. I can't just tell the AI to make it up, right? Same goes for text and other elements. Sure, there's room for improvement, but it's definitely better than what I could have done myself, right? So after exploring this tool, here are my conclusions. I recommend using this tool, especially for front-end work or if you want to quickly prototype what you have in your head. It's a very good approach and much faster than doing it manually, but you'll need to know how to interact with AI, talk to it. You need to be fairly advanced. You saw with the chess example, when I was iterating with the AI, sending very basic prompts, it wasn't understanding anything and couldn't solve the problem, which is another issue I find. If you don't know programming, sometimes you get completely stuck and can't fix the problem because you don't really know where it's coming from. Another positive aspect is that it has responsive design, which I haven't mentioned, right? If I now go to here in mobile mode, it's working, and it also works in tablet mode. And that's one of its most positive points, how well the responsive design works, okay? I mean, it's just unbelievable how well it functions. Obviously, it has some flaws, but they're worth mentioning. Far fewer than what you'd encounter building a WordPress site with Elementor yourself, right? So that's it for this video about AI Studio from the build section. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want me to cover any other tools, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye-bye.